This is what's pissing me off today. I'm Bob Pritchard. Well, if you've been following the news at all, I'm sure you're aware that there's been a big upheaval in the radio or communications industries in the United States. Last week, the FCC essentially came out and said if any news outlet wants to broadcast stories that aren't favorable or positive or even lying about Donald Trump to make him look good, that they could lose their licenses. That's a pretty serious threat to be making. And you're probably thinking it's that stupid dipstick Trump that's behind all of this. Well, not necessarily. Something like that has already happened once before. Not in the United States, no. Right here in the Great White North. That's right, in Canada. What happened several years back was that the CRTC was presented by a proposal from Bell Canada to merge a whole slew of stations through acquisition, making them essentially a monopoly in the Canadian broadcasting industry. And the commission said, no, we just don't have the guidelines for doing that sort of thing in this country, and we want to see a more competitive environment. You would think, well, okay, so that's the end of that discussion. It didn't happen. Well, as it turned out, Bell just went to the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, pleaded their case, said something, a series of words, not that there was anything wrong with the words they used. They've never been released by anybody. But after it all came together and the cabinet approved the approval or acquisitions by Bell Canada, the next thing we know is that, well, Bell Canada News, that's a CTV and a whole slew of radio stations, were all of a sudden covering everything about Justin Trudeau you could ever envision covering. And of course, he's the Prime Minister. He deserves that kind of visibility. However, announcing that he had double mustard on his hamburger really doesn't qualify in news in some people's opinion. I may be a little sarcastic on this one, and I apologize to Bell if they're offended by it, but after the merger happened, it was an incredible shift in the coverage of news from Bell, and that really threw me for a little bit of a loop. Anyway, all we're seeing now is Donald Trump has taken the Trudeau approach to life and taken it to a whole new extreme. So now that the democracy is dead and all of those previous presidents who talked about the Great Republic and the ability to wave the flag or burn the flag, depending on your point of view, are now kind of SOL. It's all over. They've kind of overruled everything. Now, in the States, they do have the Supreme Court that can put things right. However, they don't seem to be doing much. It could be they're on summer vacation. It could be that Trump has so many members on the Supreme Court now that they can do pretty much anything they want. Or the bottom line on it is that maybe he just put them all on hiatus for a while he gets his business sorted out. I guess the real question is this the end of the Trump stupidity, or are we all just being set up for some big catastrophic disaster, which we, haven't really heard about yet? And that's what's pissing me off today. I'm Bob Pritchard.